Savages, Rags, and Riches. All of these works describe Andrew Jackson's presidency, policies, and life. During his presidency, Jackson increased U.S. power by forcing out the savages. He also demonstrates the rags to riches story since he came from a modest working-class family and has the common man's vote. Due to his dedication to the American people, Andrew Jackson deserves to be our next president. Andrew Jackson would be an excellent president because he has increased the size of our country so the United States has more land and resources. As part of his Indian policy, Jackson forced all the savages to move west of the Mississippi River to provide much-needed farmland. Now, white settlers who needed more land and could not get it due to the savages' location can have land. The expansion of land represents more opportunity for its people. With more territory, Andrew Jackson greatly increased the United States' power. Another reason that Andrew Jackson should be elected president is his strong connection and appeal to the common man. Many Americans identify with Jackson's humble beginnings since he grew up in a poor family in South Carolina. He represents the rags to riches story because he worked hard to become wealthy and successful. Many view Jackson as a leader that wants to help the average American. As Andrew Jackson once said, the planter, the farmer, the mechanic, and the laborer form the great body of the people of the United States. They are the bone and sinew of the country, men who love liberty and desire nothing but equal rights and equal laws. This shows how Jackson valued working-class citizens and their contributions to society. A vote for Andrew Jackson is a vote for justice and equality for all. With Jackson as our leader, we can become a powerful and prosperous nation. Don't be a savage. Vote for our man, Andrew Jackson.
This one little word can change something from bad to good. What we need in this country right now is faith. And the only way we can achieve that is by electing Andrew Jackson. Jackson is the right choice for America because he's a symbol of America, whether it's being a war hero to expanding the United States. By re-electing Jackson, we can have faith in our country. President Jackson certainly earned the name Old Hickory. He is born a leader and knows what America needs. Jackson fought in the Continental Army at age 13 and also led U.S. to victory in the Battle of New Orleans. He truly is a war hero and a natural-born leader and knows what's best for America. Jackson is the right choice for America because he's expanding America to make it a better place to live. By making the natives move farther west, he's sending he's sending settlers to this area so you and I can live there. By doing this, Jackson is uniting the states and making it a free land. Settlers can now farm more crops so America can survive, and we can expand the nation to make it a more powerful country. Jackson knows what America wants because he's just like you and me. He's a common man and knows what we need. He's the right man for the job because he knows how to lead and unite the country. So let's all vote for a man who knows best for the country. By voting for Jackson, not only will we have faith in the country, but in ourselves.
Is an ignorant, selfish, crazy man like Andrew Jackson really a fit person to be the President of the United States? Well, the President does control a fair bit of the government and has the power to decide on laws. Shouldn't he have to obey the laws too? Andrew Jackson has shown a disregard for laws. He has intentionally ignored them. Laws are made for a reason. If they are disregarded, there could be disastrous results. Andrew Jackson has deliberately ignored the Supreme Court's directions to stay out of the Indians' territory. He directed the Georgians to fight for the Indians' land, breaking the law as he did so. Laws are made to keep the government running smoothly. If they are broken, many things could go wrong. Our government is balanced in a certain way. The President, the Supreme Court, and Congress are all in charge of certain things. The reason it is split up is so that not one group has too much power, which can become very dangerous. Do we want a president who can lead us to this possible chaos? Due to Jackson, the bank has crashed. Jackson's been against the federal bank because he thinks that it treats common people unfairly. The bank asked Congress to let them renew its charter early. Jackson vetoed the possible happening of this. He withdrew the government's money, putting it in state banks, which used up all of this money along with other money in loans, as well as printing worthless paper money, causing the whole economy to crash. By supporting a large tariff bill, Jackson helped the North but ignored the needs of the South, who needs to import most of their goods. Because of the tariff, they would now have to pay extra for them. It is the duty of the president to not alienate one part of the country. He is supposed to help the majority of the United States. By ignoring half of it, he has severely inconvenienced that part of the United States. Jackson is also not a man to be trusted. He has killed multiple men and injured several others. A man like this could also not be entirely sane. The president needs to be a reliable person who could keep our country in safe hands. We don't want a president who could go to jail for murder. Andrew Jackson should not be the president of the United States. The president needs to be a reliable, trusted person. A person fit to be in a White House. Not a person fit to be in a jail.
Imagine one of us, a commoner, becoming the president and a hero at the same time. Improbable maybe, but impossible? No. Andrew Jackson was one of the best presidents the U.S. ever had, and now we can serve our country once again. Andrew Jackson was headstrong, stabilized the government, provided the U.S. with more land, and aided the economy. What more could a president ever do? We will find out if he is once again elected for presidency. Headstrong, one of the many contributional characteristics Andrew Jackson has. This will empower him to make the right choices on the behalf of his opinions. This is something in great demand for the president because they are carrying the weight of the U.S. on their shoulders, balancing our country. Without this, the U.S. would crumble under the pressure of being an independent nation. Balancing our country's powers is also another feat that Andrew Jackson did. Too much power in the federal government can lead to a system, much like Great Britain's, centralized around the leader's needs and not the common person. Andrew Jackson cleverly avoided this dilemma by giving the states' banks more power than the federal banks. Land is another key issue in the United States economy. By moving the savage Native Americans west of the Mississippi River, there is now more land upon which to farm on. This boosts the U.S. economy by offering more jobs for farmers to give out because of a land increase. Andrew Jackson has clearly served the U.S. tremendously well in his first term, and who knows what other great things he has in store for his possible next term. We will find out if he is once again elected as the United States of America's
Gentlemen, we are gathered here on this day of national reckoning to decide the fate of our nation. This is the choice that lies before us, to re-elect Andrew Jackson or not. I am convinced that by today's closing I will have convinced you all that it is indeed the correct choice to grant him the post as our nation's commander-in-chief, which he seeks. It is plain enough to see that Jackson is a true son of America. He fought for us during the Revolution, in which our previously defeated foe... I ask you now to remember back to the time when he triumphed in the Battle of New Orleans during the Revolution. The man who opposes him, John Quincy Adams, on the other hand, has no such battle experience to speak of. Jackson has always honorably represented and aided the common man, evidenced by the fact that he fought and won a battle with the National Bank, a Goliath which has indebted us all. In addition, Jackson at one point opened up his doors to all who wished to partake in the great feast he had prepared. In addition, those of us who lack wealth can feel secure knowing that they are being led by one of their own, seeing as Jackson himself was once a common man, but has now elevated himself to the post he now assumes through truth and assertiveness. This assertiveness, which I have mentioned, comes from the fact that Jackson has solved his disputes with honorable duels. I will state one last point, and it is this. Having claimed the Indians' lands for ourselves, the people of the United States, he has thus strengthened us. For how can we continue to prosper when our neighbors continue to unrightfully stake out the western lands for themselves? If this continued, we would most certainly be a divided country, something that our founding fathers did not intend for. Vote Jackson.
It has been said that Andrew Jackson was a common citizen of the United States just like you are. That's what everyone said they wanted for a president. Jackson is a perfect example of this man. In my speech, I will be talking about Jackson's campaign of 1828 and his use of the spoils system. When I am finished, you will clearly see why Jackson is ready yet again to be re-elected as President of the United States. Jackson cared about giving people jobs. His rotation in office gave more people the opportunity to serve their country. He also stated that no one has more of a right to official station than any other person. This shows that Jackson also believes in equal rights among people. He was also very thoughtful and kind for giving the positions to his good friends. Jackson's campaign of 1828 was a great one. He did not want any large banks or factories because he did not want any power taken away from the people and then given to the national government instead. During his campaign, he eventually won 56% of the popular vote and most of the electoral votes. In fact, he did so wonderfully that a song was even written about him. Unlike Jackson would have been if he had lost the election, his not-so-lucky opponent, Adams, seemed to be a poor sport. Adams said things such as, "It seems as if I was deserted by all mankind." Jackson, on the other hand, is a respectable man who would never say such negative comments. Andrew Jackson showed common sense, willpower, and persistency throughout his presidency. He wanted to help the people of his country and see it thrive. Electing Jackson as president again ensures this country that they are in the safe hands of a dedicated
Can
man.
you put up with selfish and rude people? I know I can't. Well, that's exactly how President Jackson acted. He was just self-centered and arrogant. He was against Indian rights, wanted to ignore the court and federal government rules, and he wanted to force Indians out of where they were living just to make room for white settlers. That is just very selfish right there, guys. He also created the spoil system, which allowed members to work if they were part of the president's current party. It was unfair, though, because he rotated people in the office, which didn't give the workers a chance to get comfortable with one specific job. He was given the nickname Old Hickory to aware people of his toughness and his belligerent attitude. He didn't even need a nickname to tell people about his hostile behavior, because everyone already knew. Jackson did some things that made him seem like a criminal. He used his friends to have help depositing the government's money into state banks. Disastrous problems were made for the economy because of Jackson's selfish choices. He was born to command, and he did just that. Do you think this crazy man is fit to sit at the big desk? Does he contain the common sense?